Hey everyone, Rachel Stevens here, and we are continuing on our multi-video part series for my Photoshop Action Bundle, the whole shebang, where we have 13 different action categories. We've already gone over the overview and we've done the powerhouse mixers, and now I'm going to demonstrate the exposure and color correction actions. So the way that I work my actions, I start from top down to the bottom. And again, you want to be on image mode, RGB color, 8 bits. I prefer working on a PSD file and high res. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the background layer is flattened. So you don't want any layers stacked on top of the background layer when you run an action, otherwise they will not work. So the way that I do it, I go from top to bottom. You'll see these shortcut keys assigned. That'll be in your action set as well. These indicate my personal recipe that I use on every image. So this image has already been run through the powerhouse mixer, so I'm ready to apply the only thing I didn't do was any exposure or color correction. So we're going to go through these one by one. So quick exposure color fix, as the name implies, it is just a quick exposure and color fix action. And I always like to check my opacity, turn the little eye off, see what it's doing, and then brush away where I don't want it to affect. There we go. So you can probably hear me using my mouse. I recommend using a Wacom tablet. You can see my tablet's plugged in. I've got my tools up here that it opened up. I just lost my tablet pen. One of the joys of having children. Okay, perfect base. So that's just going to level out the skin tones. Normally I would have this end with a black mask, but the way that I like to do this is I like to look at the overall effect, then black it out. So I'm turning it on and off and seeing where I want it to apply it, kind of looking all around. And then when I figured out the areas where I like it, then I will Control I to invert. I'll grab a brush and then I'll just start to dab over the areas where I want to keep it. Flatten. Okay, quick color fix. As the name implies, it's a quick color fix. You're desaturating the tones, which I like. Perfect color. This is a curves layer adjustment layer where I have everything set up. So you have your classic S curve, which I've kind of I've leveled out a bit. And the reason I call it perfect color is because you can go in yourself and adjust it. So it's perfect for every single image you're working on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our 3 different color channels. We're going to go to our red channel. We're going to go to the point where I've already selected it for you guys. And then we're going to go to the green channel and we're going to tweak that, kind of see where we want that. Kind of liking it about right there. And then we're going to go to our blue channel and do the same thing. Find the point, just kind of drag it around about right there. So you can see how it's an absolute perfect tool to perfect the color for every image. Flatten that out. Okay, so here's color fix. This one is more dramatic output. It's kind of like a cross process almost. I'm not really liking what it's doing at all. Maybe, yeah, I don't really like what it's doing at all. But that's what that color fix does. Skin tone fix, as the name implies, it's just going to fix the skin tone. So let's just brush over. If it doesn't look like it did anything, it's because it ended on a black mask. So you want to double check and make sure. If it's black mask, you're going to use a white brush. And if it's a white mask and it didn't do anything, it's probably set to 0 opacity. So just pull the opacity up. So the naming system is super simplistic because I started writing these actions several years ago to speed up my own personal workflow. So I started writing actions a good 5 years before I ever started to share them with anyone and sell them. So obviously, I'm not going to name things like whimsical rose bush because then I'll forget what that means. So they may be boring and generic sounding, but that doesn't mean that they're not powerful and totally awesome. So a smidge warmer, it's going to overall make the image warmer. A smidge cooler, it's going to overall make the image cooler. And boost magenta, actually like that. And boost the blue. And I'm just going to delete these because I don't need them for this image, but I'm just showing you guys what they do. Boost the green, boost the cyan, boost the yellow, boost the red. And you can adjust here in the fill. Once it starts getting down past 20, it's kind of hard to find your sweet spot at 3 to 7% or whatever it ends up being. So I'll just go into my fill. So variations, CS2 to 5. Variations, you can find it under image, and I believe it's adjustments would be under here. Might be under here. Yeah, I think it's under image. You'll find it under the image tab. I'm in Creative Cloud, which is above CS6, so it's not available in this version, but just click it and it'll show you some cool variations for color and exposure. Skin warmer, as it implies, it just pops the skin up a little warmer, which I enjoy on this image. Skin cooler. So we got our brighten brush, which I'll make it kind of extreme so you guys can see. You can see it brightens things. We've got our darken brush, which darkens things. You can even use these kind of to a real quick dodge and burn type hack. Of course, it doesn't trump the awesome dodge and burn technique, which is available for you guys let's see here. It is under the artistic touches, which we'll get to in a bit. Okay, highlighter. It just pops all those highlights. Fill light. Nice, gentle fill light. A smidge brighter. Overall, the image, just a smidge darker overall. Pull down shadows and protect highlights. Whoa, bright's too bright. This is my favorite. I love this one. You got heavy highlight fix. You'll see a little bit of the banding around her jaw because this wasn't it wasn't a very dramatic no blowout. You'll do like what it did here though. Subtle highlight fix. You'll want it to just subtly fix the highlights. I love this one. This is the one I use the most. Desat darken. It's a desaturated darken, so that when we want to darken stuff, it doesn't start turning things orange and contrasty. So again, I'm a real big fan of subtle changes, big result. Shadows highlight pop. Pop those shadows and highlights. So here we go. Shadows, highlights. I'm going to flatten that. Quick shadow lift. So you can see what it's doing here. It's just selecting the shadows and lifting them for you. So it's detecting where the shadows are. I've got Recover Midtones. You can see where it's pulled the midtones. I actually do enjoy that, but not everywhere. So I'm going to make that a mask, and I'm just going to paint it in where I want it, just to kind of shape her face a little bit. This is why I always recommend watching your makeup artist work, so you can remember where she was applying contours and all that kind of stuff. Understand what a makeup artist is doing with the face, and then you can come back and post and fix what you've done if you start to flatten everything out. Okay, so revert to original. That's just if you start getting lost and you feel like you need to go back. I've already saved a bunch of times, so I didn't get lost, so I don't need it. So that is our exposure and color correction. I will be moving on to retouching skin, eyes, and teeth next, and all the rest of them. Please follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rachel Stevens Photography for Women. Stevens has a PH in it. And don't forget to check us out on Creative Live. We have a 3-day class there. And we will see you online. Thank you.